before we even open this box, and I want everybody to know this has been a really hard day not to open this box, but it doesn't matter if it's an ARF, a scratch build, anything else, guys. I just love airplanes. Okay, this airplane's been on order for quite a while. It's been very, very hard, but I want to say thank you very much to Bill Hempel for doing a custom scheme on this airplane. That is thanks to my friend Brad Worston that was nice enough to show me this scheme to where we're at today. One thing I do want to talk about real quick is I'm going to be running this airplane with a ZDZ 420 on JMB cans. I'm also going to be running Hi-Tech 9381 brushless servos. These I've been testing quite a bit of them in the 50% airplanes for the last couple of years, and I'm just absolutely sold on the linear power that they have. Just how they perform in giant scale airplanes is amazing. How they perform in a 40%er is amazing. How they're performing in my 35%ers is amazing. We're also having a friend show up here in just a second. One of our buddies.
Reinforcements to help.
Yep. So.
Hey, Aaron.
On with the fun. So.
Aaron wants to know if this is his Christmas present. Lancaster.
Yeah, I wish. This has been a long time coming.
Should I show who?
Yeah, so here's the
guys,
snap-on wrap.
Our snap-on wrap stops by every Wednesday.
But today he knew that we were doing this debut, and this is awesome. So I'm dying here, guys. I hope you guys are ready for this.
I'll walk around the box. Why don't you go tell Wes what he's walking into so
Okay.
he's not
Cool.
blindsided. Wes has been my friend since I was born. Joe met him in kindergarten, and he's actually the guy that introduced us. No, it's Wes.
So guys, here we go. Debut of the largest ARF that I've ever owned, so here we go. There's your elevators. Nice tiny little things. There's your rudder. Show the beginning of the scheme that's gonna be coming. So really, really awesome. Let's try to drag out this fuselage real quick. Sorry about
Sorry,
that,
guys.
Oh, shit. You ever feel like a little 10-year-old at Christmas time? Well, I feel that way today. Alright. Let's just try to just lift this fuse just straight up and out. You think? Yeah. So there's your 60%. Here, let's just set it right over here on this table.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve. We're debuting a 60% J3 Cub that has been on order for quite some time. Yeah, holy cow. So.
Our 5-year-old can fit in that, you know.
Yeah. So, just a little bit big. Go ahead and just
Right, Aaron? Okay, everybody, say hi if you're watching. Or thumbs up or something.
Yeah, this is kind of odd for Joe to do an ARP, but this thing is going to be awesome.
Lancaster wants to know if you're in around a Rotax motor.
ZDZ 420. This thing should be epic. So here's another 420 just to give you guys a comparison of what we're going to stick on. We've got to chop the motor box back because this is designed for the 3W275. We're going to stick a 420 on there. If you want to compare it to a 275 lengthwise, it's not too bad, but I am going to have to chop off about 6 inches off the nose and redo that motor box. So there's your comparisons, 275 to a 420. Yeah, so there's that. That is one teeny little wing. Here, let's just stand it up. It won't even stand up in the room. That's crazy, guys. So I am also going to be splitting the ailerons, and I will go through some, not as many lives, but I will be doing some pictures because we are going to split
This is the Bill
the
Hempel
ailerons
clip
just
wing
so that I
cup.
can have flaps. Flap of the wing. And so, like I said, I am going to split the ailerons just so I can have more fun using flaps. There's the bottom of the wing. Beautiful job, pocket hinged. Super awesome. So, well guys, we're gonna get some pictures going quickly on the construction of this thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. 60% J3 Cub.
We'll do more as he puts it together, maybe.
Yeah.
He might be putting it together all night long, and I don't stay up all night long with him.
Yeah, that's the reason we'll do some pictures, progress pictures, but thanks for coming on, guys. Super appreciate it. Yes, it's finally here, and it looks great. So, cannot wait to get banging on this one and get her done. So, thanks for coming on. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I am ready to get working. So, thanks guys. Have a great night.
Oh, Mike, this scheme was a picture that Brad Worston showed Joe, and he sent it to Bill Hempel, and Bill sent it to the factory, and they did it.
Yep. So it is a one-off.
It's a little more to get a custom scheme.
Yeah. Little bit more time. Well, not time. But
Yes, he is. Steve, he's going to have an assembly party.
oh yeah.
A one-man assembly party all night long.
We're going to be going like crazy. So we're going to show what radio systems we're going to be using as we're going along. But again, thanks to High Tech, thanks to Bill Hempel, thanks to ZDZ.
Brandon says, happy for you, Joe. That's going to be sweet.
This thing's going to be a blast. I cannot wait. I love big cubs. I always have. So thanks,
All right.
guys.
See you
Have
guys.
a great night.
Bye.
Hey guys, good evening. Just want to kind of give an update. Had a couple of requests like, am I working on the Cub? Yeah, I'm working on the Cub. Definitely still a little busy at work and everything else, and wintertime's now coming. Really wish it was done, but I've kind of run into a couple of situations with some parts that Bill still needs to get me for the ends, for the strut ends that showed up wrong. And as I was putting together the airplane, I ran into a real situation that I didn't really plan on doing this update. But what was going on is I would build the elevators, and same with the rudder, and the rudder is now done also. The G10 is now installed. I'm just down to finishing programming the next servo in front of that one, and then it should be done. I need to finish the top stripes, but been working along. So what happened is I would gang together 2 servos and I would sweep the system and everything was tight. Well, all of a sudden the servos were not perfectly synced. So I thought that it was maybe these boxes, but these boxes are super, super tight. They're a really tight fit. I even had to sand them just a little bit to get the servo in. So I did pull the servos back out, wicked everything up, hardened it, double checked all that. Well, I did it again. And you guys can see on this one, because I wanted to do a comparison to see how much weight I was adding or what I was doing. That's the reason I didn't do them in unison. You can see on this one right here, the covering was shrunk. And see this covering right through here is wrinkly. What was actually going on is these hard points is through a soft piece of balsa, well, medium density balsa with the hard point, and as you guys can see in the pictures, the holes were off-centered, so it was creaking over. The other side here was actually the balsa was broken. On that one, you could move it quite a bit after I just swept them just a few times. So I'm really positive where this one's all wrinkled up too, that balsa in there is going to be cracked. Now, this is, you'll notice that it's wrinkled there but not here. That's telling me that that balsa is cracked because I shrunk these down before I did this. So for the guys that have been already flying one of these and they're saying you're going too far, mine were broke. You know, it's hey guys, it's an ARF. I mean, so what we want to talk about is how would I go through and fix this problem if this ever happened to me? One, you're just going to come through. You don't have to unhinge your elevator because once you uncover it, you're going to be able to put your clamps through the backside. Now what I'm going to do is router in a 3/8 piece of plywood. Now this is light ply, hard ply, laminated together so that it's not super, super heavy. All my parts weigh 1.2 ounces. Including glue, I would say the total repair of materials you're going to put in is going to be 2 ounces. But it was quite funny that this panel weighed 2 pounds, 3.9 ounces. You guys can actually look at the picture. It weighed the same, identical.
Hey Randy, hey Ashley.
Hey guys, so once I got done with the repair, I actually didn't add 1 ounce of weight because I'm taking out all of the soft balsa. These bolts compared to the G10 horns are lighter. So if you're careful doing this kind of repair, it's going to work. So what I do is I router this down in, and now this is right down to the, there's actually a plywood. To show you.
Just before we started the live, we posted some pictures to help illustrate. So when we're done here, go. Oh, he's just diving right in, isn't he?
Well, guys, you got to see how this is constructed to make sense of what I was doing here. So again, this great big wrinkle shows that the bolt's moving, which is just not safe with me. So I bet you when I undo the bolt, it'll show. This one doesn't have the big crack that the other one had. But, so now I can explain what I'm going to do a little easier. So, all you're going to do is you're going to hurry and de-sheet your covering. Now, what I also do is I try to leave this end over here alone because when I'm all done with the repair, I'm going to slice this off, pull it off, and that's actually how I'm going to make my templates. I just use this, set it right on the covering, cut right directly off of the covering. It's good. So, but Now I'm gonna go through, show you what I'm gonna do. You're just gonna pull these bolts right back out. Again, these hard points should have been bigger, in my opinion, for this size of an airplane. So this is curing that problem. So on the bottom side, I'm gonna use a 3/8 piece. And I'm gonna grind and round, I'm going to router this straight down to the plywood, not damaging the plywood. Be very, very careful. And then I'm gonna set this about 1/8 of an inch back from the leading edge so that
Welcome, Troy.
my horns, you can actually see in here, are a little bit longer. So that's the reason this piece comes back just a little bit more than the balsa. So you're gonna router this whole piece down in there, and you're gonna notice that this is about a 1/16 below surface. And I do that on purpose. Sorry. So that you want to router this down in there, and then you're going to set a piece of balsa right on the top of it, and then you're going to put tape all over the balsa that you do not want to sand, and you're going to level things right back off. Now, same thing on the other side, but I actually, because this is 1/4 inch thick, I leave 1/8 of balsa to the plywood side, and then I set this in there again so that it's below surface, so that I can put a Skinner plate on the top, so that when you're said and done, when you guys see this airplane this year, please come up and look at it. You'll notice that this is perfectly factory looking. But again, now my geometry is perfect. I've hooked this all up. I've run it a bunch of times now, and super, super happy with it. Way, way, way stronger. The horns actually go right to below the surface. You can actually see that I actually had to go in and fill in some balsa because they came through just right to the surface. So I put a Skinner of balsa in there so that I didn't get glue pushing up and making a spot. I really did want to hide it as much as possible, but you can now see that is a way, way stronger way to go.
Hold it up to the light, you can see through it. There you go.
So you guys can now see that these go a little bit bigger, and the reason is it's because I wanted my horns totally in there. You're also going to notice a crazy little pointer thing that I made.
Troy says looking good.
Thanks, dude. I made a crazy little pointer for when I'm trying to figure out, there's my horn. Well, you want to figure out where the center line is of your hinge. Well, what we can do is we set this piece on there.
Welcome, Scott.
It draws a perfect straight down line so that you know where your hinge line needs to be, and then you can know how much bigger that piece of wood is on the back side. And that way, these two little marks right here and here is actually the horn where it goes down in. I think this little...
Put that back down there. I zoomed in now that you...
This goofy little idea, I think, would work really well if you guys have an ARF that you're questioning, am I aligned up? All this is drawn out, scroll sawed out really quick. That would really help you guys figuring out to get your geometry perfect, so that you can make sure, you could even, if you wanted to, drill a hole in each one of these so that you know it's exactly, on these ones they're 1 3/4. And again, I drill each one of these after so that I can make sure that all these are perfectly 1 3/4 down inside of there,
Slow down just a minute.
and 1 3/4. So again, this is taking a lot more time than I wanted to. This is not a process that I wanted to do, but safety comes first, guys. Same with servo power. I know that a lot of guys out there have run, well, they've run smaller servos. I really wouldn't recommend it. I would really, my true recommendation being just Joe Mitchell, okay? Forget everything else. My recommendation on a 60%er or a 50%er is the new high-tech 9380s. They're just unbelievable power. They're good for this airplane. And this is really gonna, with these changes, this airplane should be around for years. I should be able to ring it out like the way that I want to. So, again, to go to wings, you can see that I've already started to strip these because we are starting the same exact process. I wanted to see how much plywood's down in here. What was going on these is you'll notice this is bird's eye and this is not. That's hard, this is soft. So these dowel pins are glued in with a rubberized glue, and you stick a bolt through there and you can actually physically watch them move. Not a lot, but enough that it really concerns me. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing, knocking in just a piece of plywood at the halfway point and one up. So it's gonna have a 1/4 inch ply there, 1/8 inch of balsa, a 1/4 inch ply, and then a 1/4 inch top skin to fill it back in is what I'm gonna do. And that should really cure my problems. Hey guys.
So Scott says, "What's up, Joe? Can't wait to start mine."
So you really wanna,
Yes, Terry says, "I hear Nicole shaking her head."
yeah.
Absolutely.
So Scott, you really want to see what I've done and changed and went to the G10 and why, if you haven't been watching the whole time. I was having a problem with, even though I even switched to the Dubros over the Bill Hempel hardware, these were flexing. My rudder, there was two things that were happening with it, is it was flexing the dowel pin in there, and it was also bending the rod. As these two servos were matched, this is such a large, heavy surface that all I did is swept it a few times and everything was out of whack. So, again, go through, router down in. I'll try to put some more detailed pictures as I'm doing this next one, just so that you can see what I'm doing. If you also have any questions, give me a call. I'd be happy to step you through what I've done. But it was a serious problem that was going to cause me an issue. So
Welcome, Michael.
again, Michael.
Coons.
Oh, hey, Michael. Hey, so that's my Cub update. Hope to get really working on it hard and fast here. Now that this one's done, super exciting. The rudder's done.
Welcome,
I'm super
Andrew.
excited about this.
Jaworski.
Oh, hey. So, yeah, super excited about changing to the G10. It should cure all the problems that I was having. Definitely was not a servo issue. It was clearly the horns were moving. So, there you guys go. So, last other thing about these 9380s, they are the absolute, and that's the reason I was so questioning everything, is because these servos, you can use the programmer and program them and everything else, but they are the most linear servo that I have ever seen. And I'm talking every brand, Futaba, JR servos run through this brand to bus and everything else to program them. Radio wise, they were always, as you would come halfway through the sweep, they weren't perfect, and then at the end points they were perfect. But the 9380 is the absolute best linear servo that you can get. How I even check it is this screw right here. When I'm programming, I do not use amp meter. I leave it loose.
So as I go through the sweep, I keep checking that it is perfectly loose. And if you're off a little bit, you're going to tell it's dragging on the back of the screw, the front of the screw, and then you can actually program it by one more number if you needed to. But these servos are unbelievably easy to program, perfectly linear. My wings have been super easy to program because they're just so linear on these servos.
Yes, Michael, high tech. Welcome, Kelly. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Jeremy.
So they definitely were. I was questioning what was going on. Well, I found a bending rod on this one, and I found broken wood on this one, and I found broken wood on this one. This one was wrinkling up, which means that dowel is moving. And going through and adding this piece of plywood should cure all the problems. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to go back and look at the beginning pictures so you guys can see what was going on in the broken dowel pins and everything else. But again, not a big deal. Really simple. I don't even have to unhinge it. Just pull off my gap seal covering. I'm able to pull the covering right back down through, slide it through, pull it back. It's really not that big a deal. It's only a couple hours worth of work for years of hopefully success with this airplane and having a ton of fun with it. So if you guys have any questions, please make sure to ask, and I'll try to give more detailed pictures as we do this next one, and also on the ailerons. So thanks a lot for coming on, guys.
Scott says, awesome job, Joe.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
See ya. Hey guys, welcome to Flyers to Joe's Workshop. Just got home and started again on the elevators. We just posted a whole bunch of pictures of step-by-step how we've done this, and instead of a huge explanation that goes on and on and on, I thought I'd quickly go through why everything's still sitting here. Need a shop vac, a flush cut tool, a router with a tile bit in it, a flat with a large round, okay, piece of sandpaper, super sharp chisel, small chisel, and some tape. Now, again, you'll notice that I did not sheet this all the way. Now, the reason the tape is, so first you're going to go through, you're going to unhinge gap, okay? You're going to pull your hinge gap tape off, but you're going to notice that the covering's still there. Just be careful. Then, trying to scribe a block down in here with a pencil, you're going to have a variance of your pencil lead. So what I have found in the past for splicing in sheeting and things like that, and this goes for general purposes, you smack the side of your Corsair and you damage the piece of your sheeting. What you want to do is you want to use a piece of tape. Blue, green, doesn't matter the color. You're going to set that on there, and then when you cut, when I set my block on here, you can cut the tape to whatever, oops, went too far right there, sorry. Now, you're gonna have a perfect line to scribe. And then what I do is I set the block on there, and how I cut it is I set the block on here and I push my razor blade nice and deep. I push my razor blade down into the balsa about 1/16, straight down, staying along the side of whatever piece you're applying down in there. Then if it was a piece of sheeting, you can pop the sheeting out and your template one's gonna fit perfect. It also helps, the tape I found helps to not chip things. Then once that's in there, you can take your router and a vacuum, and you're gonna hold your router like this and your vacuum so that you can keep it cleaned out and so that you can watch. If you're not overly confident, stay back just a little bit and then come back and move it in. The nice part about this is going to hold it nice and parallel to the piece. And again, I just set my depth on here that I wanted. This is the top one, so it's just it's a 1/4 of an inch plus a 1/16 for my top skin piece. Now, my next step, well, sorry.
Terry and Tanner are on.
Hey guys. So then after you get to this stage right here, you want to clamp everything and glue it. Now, there's probably 1,000 questions of why didn't you add your 1/16 Skinner sheet to the top? Because when you're clamping really tight on this thing to really crush it down nice, your clamps are going to dent your balsa. So I leave this for very end so that I can now scribe this down in there, and I will glue this top sheet on with just CA. Sorry, I use 30-minute epoxy to do this. Now you're also going to notice that I have a piece of balsa right here because that piece of plywood does not fill in. You probably don't need that filler, but when I put the horn in there and then I push the horn down in, my high saw is going to squirt out through that back edge. So that's the reason this filler piece is in there. So now I'm going to apply a skin sheet. Then again, I'm going to lay tape over everything that I have that is perfectly flat. And then you can sand right over top of the tape. And the tape, it can't take it for long, but it will guarantee that you're not scratching up your piece of wood you don't want. So I can sit here and sand on that, and you're going to notice that I didn't ruin my balsa. So that right there, that little tiny green spot, that was right on the verge. So you got to be careful that you don't keep sanding too long, but the tape tricks really helps if you're doing any kind of a repair, a skin repair, a repair like this, any kind of sheeting. Put your sheeting a little proud, put tape all the way around it, sand it off, and then pull your tape off. Once you pull the tape off, that sheeting's still proud by just the thickness of your tape. So then you're going to take 100 grit sandpaper and scrub over that really lightly to feather it down in perfectly. The other big mistake that people do on repairs is they put too much CA along these edges. And then when they sand it off, they're always going to see a little tiny bump. So what you want to do is you want to put your CA just barely on the edge of that, push it down, and then always use kicker on the upper, because what it does is it's going to crystallize your guys' CA and so that it's going to sand off nice and smooth. So I guess that's where we sit tonight on this. I'm going to fill these back in. Then I'll show you, I'm going to figure out where my horn center needs to be, which is right off of this silver edge of the 9381s, straight back parallel. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a whole series of holes, like probably 6 holes down each piece. They're 1/16 drill bit holes all the way through, right to the surface as much as you can. And if you damage it, you can put a small piece of balsa in there and fill it back in like I did on the other one. Then you're going to take, this is where your flush cut comes into play again. Drill a whole bunch of holes, and then you'll be able to come back in with your flush cut. I don't have one right here. Pretend this is a right angle. I'm going to set a right angle on here, and I'm just going to plunge straight down in. And that's going to guarantee my angle. Now, if you guys had a wing that was tapering a lot, you could take a piece of wood and build the angle that you want it to be at and use that to scribe down, because all this little thing is doing is vibrating. The cutting is only at the tip. So you can actually use that block of wood to sit there and make your angle. Then what I do is I don't try to clean it out with this tool. Then I will come back and use the 1/16 drill bit going down back and forth, and just sawing back and forth until that's perfectly cleaned down. Then you're going to lightly sand it again. You're going to sheet the whole thing. You're going to cover it and high saw the horn in. And I will do more pictures of the next step. So, sorry guys. So that's tonight's update. Panels in here have got huge, great big openings, and I have to figure out a way to seal it off. I've always used plywood or balsa, but the problem is with 1/16 balsas, these openings are so big, I was worried about it crushing in. Plus I would have had to went through and coat the balsa with epoxy and things like that to then be able to paint it. Well, came up with a crazy idea to build a sheet, some sheets of balsa that then I just laid down wax paper on my bench so that it didn't stick, and then I used a roller, a foam roller, put some wetness on there, laid down the fiberglass, did 2 layers of 1.4 ounce cloth. And right now it's super green. That's the reason I'm hurrying doing this, because I want to get these glued in while they're green and nice and flexible. That way when it fully cures, it's going to ridge it up a lot. It's just like the wing tubes. When they're green at this, 8-hour stage, they're just nice and flexible. So I want to get these glued in. That's the reason I want to hurry and do this quick video. Then there was also, and then to talk about this template. So there's my final product, except for I got to do the one last notch on the top. And then they just pop right in. There was also a big problem where this thing has an angle, then it goes flat, and it has all these notches. There's a 30-degree angle right here. Now you can see how big these openings really are. Well, I was struggling on how to figure it out and get it perfect. So this piece of cardboard is actually multiple sections. I did the top section, then I did a back section, a middle section, and a front section. So that way, and all I did is I taped the top section up in. I taped it up to the top, and then I did the back section, got it perfect, and then taped it together, and then did the next section, taped it together, and then did the next section, then pulled it out and taped it on both sides so that I could really get it decently strong, so that I could make sure everything was absolutely perfect. That way now, when you look at the other side, the first piece fit in there. It is absolutely perfect. It should be really nice. So now I'm gonna do is use a little bit of a 30-minute epoxy on there, glue this in, and next thing that I gotta figure out is a way to kind of put some clamps on there. It's kind of difficult, or maybe I'll staple it or something like that. But the nice part is, now when I paint this, it should take ounces of paint over any other way. So, motor box also. So, I want to make this top hatch removable, but the problem is your top hatch is actually a part of your structure so that it doesn't flex. So what I did is I used a piece of aluminum in here, just on the top, so that now that this is super nice and stout, now that I can make this top removable. Little update there. So just working away today and enjoying it. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Hey guys, welcome to Flyer City Joe's Workshop. Couple of things we want to go through real quick. I'm doing my scoop on the bottom of the cowling and kind of tell you guys how I do this process. First off, I do want to give a huge shout out to Reebok. They had never done a 60% Bill Hempel wing bags before, and yes, I priced around everybody else. And Reebok was the best deal for the quality that you're going to get out of these guys' bags. But so when you guys order from Reebok and they've never done this exact wing bag, they'll do a whole bunch of emails back and forth of sizing and shapes, and they want a bunch of pictures, and then they'll send you something, a blue vinyl or a fabric bag that has the zippers and everything else so that they can check that everything fits perfectly. You know, yes, you pay for these guys' wing bags, especially with the Euro exchange right now, but their quality is amazing. I just gotta give a big shout out to them because they're just wonderful bags. And these are not my first go with these guys. Sally's bags, my cat bags, they're all in these guys' wing bags. Some of them have zippers all the way up, some of them don't. Depends upon what the wing bag is. They have a really nice felt. They're not horribly heavy. I've felt heavier wing bags, but they're really nice canvas on the outside to stop tears. And then they run a felt inside so it doesn't scratch. I have just been super happy with these people's quality. Yeah, huge shout out to Reebok wing bags. If you guys haven't bought any of their wing bags, if you have something big and custom or something that, yeah, anything, I don't know. I've always believed in quality wing bags and trying to take care of your stuff even when I'm not working on stuff. I try to cover things up in my shop. It's just, I don't know, I try to take care of the stuff I own. So, okay, so into wing bags. So we're still working along on the can tunnel. Made a ton of progress today on servos installed. Horns are almost ready to go in. I'm hoping to cover that aileron tonight, and then I'll go through the steps on that one. But this process right here of making a little scoop, I've done it out of the fiberglass, out of the just standard balsa before and shaped it. But I had some scraps of this stuff I showed you guys yesterday. And now that it's cured, it's a lot more brittle and it's not as easy to work with. But still right now, as long as you guys do a negative so that the cloth's on the outside, it bends really nice. You're able to shape it. You're able to kind of form it just a little bit. All you're doing is you're using that as a core material for this fiberglass trick. So all I did is laid this down in the airplane, figured out the angle I wanted, put in the balsa, you guys can see by the pictures, tacked it in with CA, made sure everything was right. Then I came through and CA'd it even more, and then I came through and I actually shaved the balsa right off flush, and then I put 2 layers of 1.4 ounce cloth on the inside coming up in so that it's nice and secure. You don't have to go really big. I don't know. You don't have to go huge, but you want it to be secure. Then on the bottom side, normally I would just put a bead, a fillet, a little bit of fiberglass, and then I would rattle can it. Well, all of a sudden I'm like, I kind of want this to be carbon fiber, so I actually had some carbon fiber tube for doing my wing tube sockets. And so what I did is I split that into a moon, and then what I did is you're going to lay down, and I did scratch this, and I'm very upset about this. It's got a couple little scratches when I was cutting it. But then what I do is I lay down electrical tape. And you're going to lay down electrical tape just a little bit further. And the nice part about the electrical tape is even if it's there, you're not going to see it if I leave it behind just a little bit. But I do know I got it all gone. If you guys use blue vinyl tape, same thing. If you do leave a niche behind, you're going to actually see it. So use black electrical tape. It works really well. So I put a bead of black electrical tape. And then I put tape all over this so that I didn't worry about getting anything on there. Then you're going to sand and get this ready and prepped. And then we lay down we wet out the wood, and then we lay the glass over it, and we wet out the top of that. Now, something that I've been doing for a while is a cheap vacuum bag system. If you're just trying to stick something down, especially on this carbon fiber, it likes to lift up, and it's kind of a problem. What you're going to do is you're going to lay down some saran wrap, and you're going to put this on there when it's all nice and wet, and then you can actually push and squeegee out your glue. And then you can also pull and prod and push, and as that starts to cure, you can take a playing card or an old credit card, and you can kind of push down into these corners to make sure it's all nice and smooth. Then at the 8-hour mark, you're going to just pull this saran wrap off. Now you're going to get some lines from the saran wrap. I don't know if you guys can see this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down a new bead of tape. I'm going to sand this down with a 220 tomorrow when this is nice and cured. Right now it's still too soft. I'm going to sand this down, and I'm going to put just a nice coating on it again. And that should give me my finish that I want. It's going to be just true carbon fiber. So hopefully that's going to be a really nice look on the bottom of this airplane and really cause a good positive pressure. It's big. I mean, this is, sorry, inch and a half. Yeah, it's about 1.5 inches tall on there, so it's a nice big one. But if you guys ever have a cracked cowling, okay, you guys run into a fence, you guys have a nice big damage in a cowling, same exact thing. You can actually carve that piece out, inlay plywood, excuse me. You can cut it out, you can inlay a piece of balsa, tack it in with CA, making it too big. Then you can sand your shape. Then you can lay over a 3/4 ounce cloth, 1 to 2 layers of 3/4 ounce cloth on the outside, blend that in. And then what I do is I come back on the inside and shave that back out to the desired look that I want. And then I'm going to put 2 layers of 1.4 ounce cloth going cross-directional. That's a really good way of fixing a cowling that you guys cannot re-find. If you're in that situation, you have a super old airplane, I've repaired cowlings that have been pretty damaged. Same with baffling. If you guys want something that's really fancy, the foam works super great, but on this one I'm going to build a wood shelf up in, and I will show you guys more as we do that. So there you guys go. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night. Hey guys, welcome to Flyer C. Joe's Workshop. We had a real problem with internet signal, jumping around, things like that. So we're doing a video. I love doing the lives, and I hope you guys enjoy the lives also. I love to hear you guys' questions. So again, even after this video, if you guys have questions, please post them. We are here to do this. I'm going to call it a public service. We love to help. You know, I've taken years of learning stuff, and I want to share the knowledge. I've always felt that my bucket is so full of knowledge that if I don't give some back, that I can't receive more. And I know that's a crazy theory, but I've been taught by so many great people that I just want to make sure to give back. So I hope you guys enjoy this, what we've been doing. If you do, at least say hi, you know, say thank you or whatever. So on to aileron blocking. So it jumped around too much, so I just need to describe what I do. So first off, we start out with a router bit. We come down in only halfway. We adjust this, and then I have it marked out to where I don't want to damage this inner main spar of this aileron. So I've measured in to 1 inch. I've marked it. I've set my block. I mark them with an F to the front so that they don't, if they're crooked a little bit, I want them to make sure to fit. Then I measure over to the side of this aileron to also figure out, and this one's 3/16 and they all change. Then I make my mark here. I set this on here. I take a super sharp razor and I cut in a little bit on an angle so I know that that box is going to be perfectly tight. Then I'll scribe the front. Then I router in halfway, and then I set my depth to where I'm purposely leaving this stuff proud so I can shave it off, but this wood is something that I make. It's 1/4 inch plywood, 1/4 inch balsa, 1/8 inch ply, light ply or hard ply, doesn't matter. A nice medium or hard density 3/4 inch ply part balsa with light ply on the bottom. Now, so then what I do is I go through and I now set my depth, and I'm not going all the way down in, making sure to be proud. I'm going to router this in, again, not coming all the way in to damage that, we'll call it a spar. And then what I'm going to do is I come along and I grind at the bottom point so that I know how deep I want it. Then I'll use a flush cut to do this front cut. And I purposely lean back again so that I'm not damaging that spar. Then I come in here, I cut it out, and it takes a little time, but you want these to be as tight as possible. Now, if you guys mess up on your first time, or the router takes off and makes a little mark, make it a little bit bigger, keep some extra blocks, make one that's going to fit good, or if you're out of the material that you made, you can always put a piece of 16th balsa on there with CA and make it fit. You can see that these things are nice and tight. I just glued that thing. So again, I'm not damaging this spar. And again, you want these nice and vertical, and that's the reason why you use this, so that it keeps it nice and vertical for you. You just want to make sure that this is sitting flush so that you can keep a nice vertical line on there. And then in the end, I chamfer just the edges that are at the bottom so they don't have to have a super sharp edge. And then I'm just going to 30-minute epoxy these down in. I'm going to put a piece of tape on the top of that little hole so that it doesn't come through. Then I'm going to use a nice pinch clamp. And on these, you're able to see that I'm nice and flush here on the bottom, so I've got really good glue joint. I'm connecting to the aileron spar and also this front main spar, plus along this balsa. That's the reason I'm not taking this whole balsa out. Hold on 1 second, let me grab a horn and show you how deep I want it. Now these G10 horns have got a really long bottom on them on purpose, because when I install this, I want my G10 horn to actually go down into the old balsa on purpose, because I want this to link everything together. Plus it's glued, it's never going to break unless I'm being really crazy with it. But this is how to do these. And again, it takes some time. Take your time. Use a sharp chisel. Straighten up your edges. Take your time. Don't rush it. Don't try to just pound them down in. It takes some time, but it's worth it in the end if you take your time. So the other problem that we had with the Bill Hempel is it was only getting to 30 degrees of throw. Now, all I do is I marked these back to 1/4 of an inch, which I figured out slowly by notching them, and now I know on this aileron, I just got to mark them to 1/4 inch from this line right here forward, and then cut those out, and it's going to take it from getting to 30 degrees of throw to 45 degrees of throw. My ultimate, with everything said and done, is I'm hoping for 43, 42 degrees of throw, because, come on over here, we have another problem. Bill Hempel, or they've decided to put the servos into the actual wing and on instead of on top. All the other 60s in the videos I can find, they haven't done that. And what this causes is their size of box causes a little bit of an issue where I have to lean this arm back, and luckily with the high-tech 9381s, I'm going to just reset center and everything's going to be perfect. But then at 40, that is 45 degrees of throw. I barely don't touch the front, and then when I come all the way down, that right there is 45 degrees of throw. I've just taken my angle finder and set it on here until I found it, and I programmed this one servo. So another thing I need to talk about is SWB turnbuckles. I want to give a huge shout out. I've used SWB for years, always believed in their product, always known that it was great product. Because they're so nice and stiff, plus they're American made. Let's support, there's very few American made manufacturers out there anymore. Let's try to support the good guys. So again, their titanium is amazing. Well, I've always known that. But today I was sitting here talking to one of my buddies, and these are like really dark colored. They're not magnetized, so they're not metal, but they're just really rough, just a bad finish on them. I grabbed the first one, I bent it. And I know you guys know I'm wearing a Superman costume underneath this great outfit, but I'm not, okay? Don't use these, okay? We need to talk about why I'm really doing this and going through this much effort. Again, the bolt systems that came with this, what was going on is once I hooked up the elevators and swept it, the bolt was moving, the hard point was moving, which was then going to cause 2 elevator servos to come out of kink, which is then going to damage your servos or something else. Well, or cause higher amp draws, which is then going to cause you guys problems with your wires. It all comes down to quality, quality, quality. You know, like MKS, they have bad servo grommets, and they've known about it for years, and I just can't get why he just won't replace the servos, the grommets. What was going on in those is the servo in the rubber was moving a little bit, which was then setting his trim points off because the actual servo was moving. Well, again, every key point, even these cheap turnbuckles, if this thing flexes just a little bit, it's going to knock it out of alignment for the other 3 servos, which is then going to cause a problem. You know, it wasn't the servo's fault, it was your turnbuckle's fault, causing the servo's issues, or causing a high amp draw, or planes coming out of trim. Same with the bolt ends. If that bolt's moving a little bit, it's going to change your trim. It's just going to cause issues. I can't stress enough on here of quality, quality, quality. Turnbuckles, ball links, horns. Make sure that all those key components is correct. If you don't, you're going to have issues, especially on something like this. I'm very critical on any of my 50%ers or a 40%er, and I think you should be critical on a 35cc airplane. Guys, if you want your airplanes to last, it doesn't matter the dollar amount of the airplane, doesn't matter. I don't care if it's a $100 airplane. If you make sure to use quality products and make sure to go through these steps and make sure that things are tight, that airplane's going to last you for years. Just like buying quality Reebok wing bags for even your $500 ARF. Guys, spend the money, have the airplane last you for years. When you come home, make sure to cover them up, wipe them down, clean them up so that your doesn't get oil underneath your covering. Using, again, huge shout out to Lucas, waxes. Cleaning your airplane so the oil doesn't get under, so that then your covering starts coming off. It's all really critical to having success, having an airplane that lasts for years. It's very, very key. Now, another little question that was just asked, and yes, I do make my wires. I make all my own pin connections. Just started buying some pin connections from Radical RC. I've bought from Tail Dragger for years, but Tail Dragger's out. These are super simple to build. I will do a dedicated video and we'll post it so you guys can see in close how to do this, because it's really simple. I solder direct to my servos. It's one less connection. Again, taking a tail of an airplane and using, well, I have a 6-inch and a 24-inch and a 6-inch here. Every one of those pin connections is causing an issue, not alone with just RF, it's also dropping your signal strengths. Every time you have a connection, it's also giving you a place for corrosion to get into and cause you guys issues. Taking these steps to build your own wires, to use quality silicone twisted wire with true copper inside of it, it costs you a little bit of money, but it's going to save you money. You know, you're going to spend $100 extra on that airplane, but it's going to last you guys for years. And not just the maiden is going to go well. Your maiden, again, that spring, 5 years from now, you're going to still have that airplane. So these are not things I take lightly, and I hope you guys know that. So I appreciate it. Sorry for the video popping off. Hopefully you guys understood this one a little bit more. I will do a wire video. Again, huge shout out to the Hi-Tech 9381s, where the precision of these things is amazing. And now with everything we've done, this plane should fly unbelievably awesome. So can't wait to finish it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks.
Here's a funny one for you. Sally's sitting beside her, and it seriously looks teeny.
Hey guys, we're here running a DDG 420.
Hey, Steve. So hard to focus with the sun. Sorry, guys. Welcome, Kyle. Hi, Linda. Oh, I keep sinking in the snow. Sorry. Hey, Wes. Only Joe would hover super quick, right, Steve? Hi, Tanner. Sorry, I can't see my screen. Oh, there we go. There she is. Have a good day, guys. Oh, Tanner. Gee, I think it's a ZDZ 420. Love it. See you, Tanner. Bye, guys.
This comes in at over 115, I think 116 pounds. You know, some cubs do that, especially as people went out. Or that. As you can tell, that plane has plenty of
place, but I think the large scale cup took the People's Choice. Congratulations, Joe. You are the winner of the People's Choice Award. Yeah, big one? Which one? All right. Yes, the winner is the Super Duper Cup, Joe Mitchell, Pilot's Choice. Congratulations, Joe. All right, so that does it for the Pilots and People's Choice.